Hallo Leute, ich wäre, ich hätte, and ich würde. These forms are all conjunctive two forms of commonly used verbs, and it's quite hard to see what they exactly mean and what their functions are. So in this video, I will show you exactly that. At the end, we'll also talk about the past tense of these conjunctive two forms. So let's get started. So first of all, the form ich wäre. Now ich wäre, that's conjunctive two of the infinitive sein, to be. So ich wäre means something I would be, but also I was or I were, as in if I was, if I were in these sentences. So first of all, let's take a look at the conjugation. You can pause the video if you want more details, but I will just read the conjunctive two forms on the right-hand side here. Ich wäre, du wärst, er, sie, es wäre, wir wären, ihr wärt, sie wären. And before moving on to the example sentences, what are the meanings, what are the functions of conjunctive zwei in the first place? So, we have, super important, höfliche Fragen and bitten. So, polite questions and polite requests and polite statements in general. Something like, could you help me please? Would that be possible? And things like that. And on the number two is Wünsche. So you can also express wishes. I would like to do that. Or something like, I would quite like to live in Spain, etc. And third function is these Wenn-Sätze. So they are not real. We call them irreales in grammar as well. So they are not real and they're hypothetical sentences. In English, they get translated by if. So if I was a millionaire, I would live on this beautiful island, something like that. So let's move down now. Let's take a look at our example sentences for sein. Ich wäre jetzt gern im Urlaub. I would like to be on holiday now. So for the Wunsch, for the wish, it's not reality right now. So we also call them irreale Wunschsätze. So unreal or hypothetical wishes. So it's not true for you now, but you would like that to be the case. Something like, I would like to be on holiday now. So for these ones, Wünsche, you always add gern. You add the adverb gern. Ich wäre, and then you add gern. And by the way, gern and gerne, one with the E at the end and one without the E, that's the same. So ich wäre jetzt gern or gerne im Urlaub. I would quite like to be on a holiday now. The second sentence here shows a good example for these conditional if clauses. Wenn du hier wärst, würde ich mich freuen. If you were here, I would be happy about that. I would be glad. So it's not the case. I'm not glad right now because you're not here, right? So wenn du hier wärst, it's Konjunktiv 2, würde ich mich freuen. In these sentences, you need the Konjunktiv 2 forms for both parts. For the first part, wenn du hier wärst, that's Konjunktiv 2. And also for the second sentence, würde ich mich freuen. So, ich würde mich freuen, that's also Konjunktiv 2. And we'll talk about würde also in a bit. If you're serious about learning German, you should definitely check out my 27-hour-long Beginners A1 course. Join over 1,000 students that master the A1 German level with me. All details down below. It's the first link in the video description. The third sentence here shows an example for polite statements, polite requests, polite wishes. You know, like do that is a bit impolite, it's a bit rude. You can say, could you please do that? Or would you please do that for me? It's a bit like that here. So the sentence says, es wäre besser, früher zu gehen. So it would be better to go a bit earlier. So this is a very polite suggestion actually. Very polite proposal. So this person could also say, es ist besser, früher zu gehen. That's not wrong at all. In this case, we would use the indicative rather than the Konjunktiv 2 form. So, es ist besser, früher zu gehen. It's better to go sooner. It's better to go earlier. That's not wrong. It's just more, direct. It's more factual. It's more... It could be a bit impolite. It depends on the context, of course. But to make it more polite, in these sentences, you can use the Konjunktiv 2. So, rather than es ist, es wäre. Same in English. It would be better to go earlier, to go sooner. Great. Let's move down now to the next verb, and that's haben. And the Konjunktiv 2 form of haben is ich hätte. So that comes from the verb haben. So it means I would have, or also I had, like if I had $1 million. So again, I will just read the right-hand side of the table, the Konjunktiv 2 side. Ich hätte, du hättest, er, sie, es hätte, wir hätten, ihr hättet, sie hätten. I'm sure you're familiar with the normal present tense indicative forms. So, again, some examples here. Ich hätte gern ein großes Glas Orangensaft. So, it comes from haben. So, ich habe means I have. It's a fact. Ich hätte, it's one of the three functions above, hypothetical or a polite request. And here we have a polite request. Ich hätte gern. So again, you can have the Konjunktiv 2 form ich hätte, and you can combine it with the adverb gern, and then you get a polite request. So in English, I would like to have, I would like to get. So, ich hätte gern ein großes Glas Orangensaft. I would like to get or to have a big glass of orange juice, please. You could also say ich will, but that again would be quite direct and quite polite. The important thing is, however, after the phrase ich hätte gern, you must use a noun. You cannot use a verb. Same in English. I would like to have something, not I would like to have and then go to the cinema. So common mistake here. After ich hätte gern, it's a great phrase to memorize. Ich hätte gern plus a noun plus the thing that you would like to have. Second sentence shows again a hypothetical statement. So, wenn du mehr Zeit hättest, würdest du mich besuchen. If you had more time, you would visit me. But the truth is, or the current situation is, you don't have enough time, you don't have a lot of time, and you cannot visit me consequently. But if you had more time, you would visit me. Wenn du mehr Zeit hättest, würdest du mich besuchen. And again, it's Konjunktiv 2 because we have Zeit, so to have time kind of makes sense. If you start with the subclause, by the way, common mistake also, wenn, that's a subclause. So subclauses, they send the verb to the end. Wenn du mehr Zeit hättest, hättest is at the end here. And if you start with the subclause, you get the subclause verb, hättest, comma, and now you get the main clause verb. So when you start with the subclause, you get a verb, comma, another verb. Subclause verb, comma, main clause verb. And again, they're both Konjunktiv 2. Hättest, that's Konjunktiv 2. And würdest besuchen is also Konjunktiv 2. We'll talk about würden in a second. So in English, you need a different tense or a different form for both sentences, If I did that, I would do that. See that? Did and would do. German is easier here because we use the same form, the Konjunktiv 2 forms for both parts in these if clauses or wenn Sätze. The same form for both parts here. Let's move down to the fourth sentence here, and that's hätten Sie vielleicht einen Moment für mich? Do you have a moment for me, please? Or would you please have a moment for me? So that's again a polite request, a polite question, a polite statement. It wouldn't be wrong to say, haben Sie vielleicht einen kurzen Moment für mich? That's more of a fact, a more direct question. Do you have a moment for me? But using the Konjunktiv 2 in such sentences, it makes it more polite. Would you please have a moment for me? Now, the last verb for today is ich würde. And that's the Konjunktiv 2 form for werden. Again, let's go through all the Konjunktiv 2 forms here. Ich würde, du würdest, er, sie, es würde, wir würden, ihr würdet, sie würden. Again, these forms, they come from the infinitive werden, and werden is to become or to get, like to become ill or to get ill. So something changes. That's when we use werden. But we can use it for a whole lot more, because just like in English, you can use ich würde followed by an infinitive. I would do, I would work, I would sleep, I would travel. So you can use ich würde plus any infinitive. If the verb is haben or sein, it would still be okay. Ich würde sein, ich würde haben, but it's more common to say ich wäre and ich hätte. But it's still okay to say ich würde haben, ich würde sein. But for most verbs, like 99% of the verbs, we can use ich würde plus the infinitive. Except for, haben and sein, as we saw just now, and also the modal verbs, and maybe a handful of other verbs, 4, 5, 6 other verbs. They have their own Konjunktiv 2 forms, but for most verbs, it's very common to use ich würde plus infinitive. And you can use it for every single verb. You can use it for any verb. So, some examples again. Ich würde gern in Deutschland arbeiten. So basically, we have Konjunktiv 2 of werden, which is ich würde. At the end, you would get an infinitive, arbeiten. Most grammar books, they simplify things and they tell you the Konjunktiv 2 form of arbeiten is würde arbeiten. That's okay, we can simplify things like that. So most verbs, they take their Konjunktiv 2 forms by using ich würde, du würdest, er würde, etc. plus the infinitive. Ich würde arbeiten. And by using gern, by adding gern, we have a wish again. So I would like to work in Germany. It's not the case right now. I live in China, but I would like to live in Germany and work in Germany. The second sentence, wenn du lernen würdest, würdest du schnell Fortschritte machen. If you studied, you would make progress fast. But the truth is, the reality is, you don't study a lot, you don't study at all maybe, and you are not making any progress. So again, it's an if clause with an hypothetical statement. Wenn du lernen würdest, würdest du schnell Fortschritte machen. And you can see here, again, we have the same form, the Konjunktiv 2 form for both parts. First part, du würdest lernen, and second part, du würdest Fortschritte machen. In English, it's two different forms. In German, same form. So German is easier here. That's the good news. Again, the word order is quite tricky. Wenn du lernen würdest, subclause ends with the verb. And then würdest, main clause, starts with the verb. So we get verb, comma, verb. Würdest du schnell Fortschritte machen. Great. Also, third one, er würde das Angebot annehmen. He would accept the offer. So maybe the secretary of someone could say such a sentence, and rather than saying er nimmt das Angebot an, which wouldn't be wrong, he accepts the offer. It's like a fact. It's a cold fact. You can say that in a more polite, indirect way. He would accept the offer. Er würde das Angebot annehmen. Depending on the context, there could be some condition attached to that, or it could be just a polite statement. So Konjunktiv 2 has these three meanings, these three functions: politeness, a wish, in this case you add gern, and also if clauses. These are the three functions for the Konjunktiv 2. Now, the Konjunktiv 2 also has a past tense form. We can cover that in another video. If you want me to do that, let me know down below in the comment section. But basically, you need ich wäre or ich hätte for that as well, plus the participle to form of a verb. So it's basically something like ich hätte gemacht, I would have done, or if I had done, or it's something like ich wäre gekommen, I would have come, or if I had come. So basically, it's the same as the perfect. For the verbs that indicate a change of place or a change of state, you need sein, so ich wäre plus Konjunktiv 2 form. And for the other verbs, for most verbs, you need a form of haben. In that case, you need ich hätte plus the participle 2 form. And then we have the Konjunktiv 2 for the past tense. Okay, great. So that's it for this video. A grammar-heavy video. Don't forget to write an example sentence down below with ich würde, ich hätte, ich wäre. The choice is yours. And I'll see you in the next video.